Well, that's a pain in the ass. All right, YouTube, can you hear? If not, YouTube, you can just kiss my ass. Yeah, I did. I restarted the YouTube video. It's just not that simple when you've got a channel like ours. You wouldn't understand. Your channel's not huge enough. That was a joke. Let me just make sure these guys can hear. I literally took my couple $1,000 audio equipment offline, and now I'm talking through a freaking $80 webcam. Yeah, you got me? Okay, good. We'll go with that. All right. Quick reopener here for everybody. Super quick. Talking about what went on in Arvada, Colorado. We've got a couple of these videos up on Instagram, on YouTube. And looking at the comment section, it makes me think that there's some stuff missing from maybe the way that we're approaching our own training, maybe the way that we're preparing ourselves. Here's some food for thought. This evening, my wife actually said, "Hey, did you see what your brother got into today?" My brother Tom, former infantry soldier, he did the EMT program about a year after I did 20 years ago, and then I just redid it this past year, or now it's maybe 18 months ago. EMT basic, it's like a 6-month program. Reason I tell you that is because I don't want you to hear the story and then be like, he shouldn't have done that. So him and his son are on the interstate 90, it looked like from the video. I haven't talked to him. We just texted, and they saw a van roll over, ladies inside, vehicles filling up with some smoke. He busted the window out and did what he had to do until first responders got there. And I messaged him. I just said, "Hey, good work today. I saw that video, or that your nephew, my nephew, took a picture or a video of his dad breaking out the window of this van." And my brother said, "Yeah, the road was filled with zombies, people just staring." Now, my brother wasn't born to be the guy to rush into action and break windows out. My brother decided, hey, I'd like to understand what I should and shouldn't do in certain situations. I'd like to expose myself to situations, to concepts, to ideas, so that I understand. A little bit more about my brother since we're talking about him. He's certified to teach tower rescue. So he travels around, he teaches people how to tie knots and shit, how to lower themselves off of towers. I ain't talking 20 feet. I'm talking 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet. He does instruction for type of paragliding. He does rock climbing. He used to do base jumping, all kinds of crap that can kill you. So things that if you don't have specific systems, you're probably going to get hurt. The opening picture here was this fire extinguisher. There's often an analogy where people use fire extinguishers talking about concealed carry. No, this is not a weapon. Yeah, it's a weapon against fire. No, it's a tool that can and cannot be used for certain things. Once upon a time, I was doing OPFOR. I was the opposition force with a group of young kids from an Explorer program. That's like high school kids that are learning to be policemen. And so we were the opposition force for a SWAT team that was doing training. And you know what we did? Mickey may or may not have brought fistfuls of 6-inch spikes and 4-inch wood screws and some screw guns, and we may or may not have screwed 2x4s over every door and window. We may or may not have stacked furniture in every hallway. We may or may not have blocked doors with refrigerators. We may not have blocked stairwells with all kinds of debris so that these guys couldn't get through. And then we may or may not have lit fire extinguishers. By lit, I mean it lit them up, like as they came through the breach points. We literally found like a bunch of old fire extinguishers, and as these guys finally started getting into the space, yeah, we coated them in fire extinguishers. It was pretty awesome. They got kind of pissed, but I was told, give them a good time. We gave them a good time. It's a tool. It can be used for things. Medical kit. This is my smaller medical kit for my guys at D-Day. I know how to use everything in here. It's good stuff. Without proper training, it doesn't help me. Without having it with me, it doesn't help me. Without being willing to act, it doesn't help me. I could have every fire extinguisher that was ever manufactured. I could have every medical kit ever packed on a truck, but if I don't know how to use it and I'm not willing to or don't act, either because of fear or inaction because I'm frozen or I'm not in the right place at the right time, doesn't mean anything. Just like a room full of guns doesn't mean anything if you don't have it at the right time. So, must have skills. People are asking me, hey man, that video you put up, is that like a new topic? No. Guys like Masad Ayub have been talking about this stuff since the 1970s. Pre-1970, this stuff may have not been as important because we lived in a different world. You know what else about pre-1970? The world wasn't armed like it is now. A lot of you youngsters don't understand that pre-1970, it was illegal in most of the United States to walk around with a concealed pistol on you. Concealed carry is a completely new phenomenon. And I talked about this in many feeds and in many discussions before. Not my history, it's the history. As old as our colonies and as old as our republic, there have been laws banning the concealed carry of weapons. Look it up. Just do some research. This stuff is there for you. Why it's important to understand this is we are developing as a society ways of dealing with an armed populace. Now, some of you are like, bullshit, the Second Amendment since day one. Sorry, guys, no. Since day one, there was not people walking around with semi-automatic pistols with 2 or 3 mags on them, with flashlights, etc. It was a completely different world. In some ways better, in some ways not. Really cool that women can vote. Really cool that people of color are not owned by people that are not of color. Really cool that people that are gay are allowed to be gay and not freaking beaten or hung for it. Pretty cool that some stuff changes. After action. So no, not a new topic. If we don't think about or imagine a thing, how are we ever going to train for the thing? Well, what do I mean by that? Well, if I haven't put the time or energy in to discuss with myself or an educator, what do I do in this situation? How would you know what to train for? For example, if you're a mom or dad, if your child's choking, if you've never imagined, okay, if little Timmy or Sally or whatever your kid's name is choking, what do I do? Oh, I don't even want to think about that. It's too scary. Well, your kid's fucked. I'm sorry. Your kid is fucked. Now, if you're the parent that says that's horrible, but I care about my child, so I'm going to invest the energy to learn proper technique on how to clear some stuff out of their throat. Then, not only do you get to that point, but you go learn how to do it. You're much better off. Hey, if grandma or grandpa grabs their chest, exhibits signs of a heart attack, stops breathing, do I understand how to recognize the signs of a heart attack and then apply aid? Of course, things like initiating an EMS response, because that's super important. Most of us don't have hospitals in our homes. Do you have the ability to do that? Well, I got the CPR certification like 5 years ago. I think in my wallet, there's this crusty card. If you got a crusty card, you don't know how to do it. Very important that we think about things. Now, I know some of you have already fixated on some stuff that I've said and have already started to get pissed, or you've hung up or got off the feed. Cool. If we can't expand the way that we think, we're already lost. There's a reason. People have like the notion that there's this hierarchy of leaders in the world because of conspiracy. No, it's because those people do the things that leaders do. You must exude a higher level of thought. We're in the Higher Line podcast room, higher level of thought. So after action, we're going to talk about communication. We're going to talk about being able to describe you, your location, etc. We're going to talk about your general health and fitness, your general mental health. Let's just jump into that. This sounds funny, but most of us have probably heard that as you dress every day, we maybe dress different. Nice shirt today from my friends at ccwsafe.com. I might as well give them a plug. CCW Safe is the finest insurer of concealed carriers and range instructors that I know. It's who we use. It's who we recommend. No, they didn't ask me to do this. I just noticed my shirt. There's a discount CarryTrainer for like 10% off. Help yourself. But as we change our clothes, if you always wear the same thing, like Gabe White always wears the same thing. He wants to get so good at drawing his gun and deploying his weapons that he just always wears the same shirt. He's got like a closet of the same polo shirts. But if you wear different clothing, people suggest that as you leave the house with an empty gun, I suggest you should get in some dry fire reps. However you are clearing your cover garment, get in some dry fire reps so that the next time you touch your gun, it's not the first time you've had to clear these clothes, right? That's cool. That's easy to understand. Could you also, while looking in the mirror, say to yourself, okay, if I was involved in some kind of violence today where I had to draw this pistol, how would I dominate the scene? How would I dominate the area? How would I dominate with my vision, my hearing, and my voice, so that I created the best case scenario when law enforcement arrived? So add to this, we are under these assumptions, we the people, I'm not because I'm smarter than anybody, but I just know it to be the case. We're humans, we're fallible. If we weren't fallible, we'd never have a car wreck. Nobody'd smoke cigarettes. We'd all live happy to 100 years old. People make mistakes. We have to, in our training, take into account that most of the people walking around you, like those zombies my brother talked about, are going to be shit witnesses. Those zombies walking around that see whatever happens, if somebody sees it happen, because now we make assumptions. What if the people that see the shooting, see the violence that you're involved in, what if those people are drunk? What if those people are on the side of the bad guy? What if those people are relatives of the bad guy? You think they're going to be a great witness for you? What if it's dark? What if it's just you and that dude in an alley? Who knows what the scenario is? And that's the problem. We look at an isolated instance like what happened in Arvada, and people start making assumptions. Well, why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? Because we are judged by what we knew at the time. So let's take a step back. We are judged in self-defense. We are judged here in our legal system, which I have friends that are judges, that are lawyers, that are elected state's attorneys, that are elected sheriffs. We have in this nation the finest legal system on the planet. And people are like, oh, it could be better if we did. Well, as soon as you change one thing, it changes something on the other end of the pendulum. It all comes down to the individuals, me and you, having the ability to judge somebody. So if you are on trial, you and me, the people from the community, become the jury, right? Will I save this live? They're always up, so you can enjoy them later. It will also be on YouTube. If you end up in some type of situation where you are being tried, do you guys understand how the jury process works? If you don't, I would research how the jury process works. If you get charged with a crime, let's just suggest in self-defense, you did the right thing. Your application of force was justified. You needed to deploy force, be it with your fists, an edged weapon, a blunt weapon, a firearm. But the state's attorney, the sheriff, the local judge, the grand jury didn't see it the same way. So they are putting you on trial. You know what that means? The prosecutor goes out and convenes a jury. They bring a jury together to try. The jury is said, or told rather, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you're going to hear some facts today. I'm going to show you why Mr. Smith or Mr. Mick or Mr. Bob or Mrs. Jane, why what they did was not only negligent, but why it was criminal, why his actions, why her actions were negligent and criminal. Ladies and gentlemen, as you look at this case, this is what you're going to hear, something like this. Imagine what a normal, prudent, reasonable person would have done. And I will show you that this person did not do what a normal, prudent, reasonable person would do. See, we are judged by the reasonable man doctrine. Was the actions of a reasonable and prudent person? So there's your first clue. If I intervene in this situation, whatever that situation is, would a reasonable and prudent person do what I'm about to do? So my brother busted that car window out. I've done that 3 times now, had to break somebody's car window or pry a door open to get them out. Would a reasonable and prudent person go up and break somebody's car window? Context. Yes. When their car's on its side in traffic and the person's car's filling up with smoke. Yes, a reasonable and prudent person would do that. Would I walk up to a car in a parking lot and just break the window out? No. The answer is a reasonable and prudent person would not do that. So context matters. So let's talk about this situation in Arvada, after action. We look at this and we say, why would the cop have shot this person? Well, we know from this particular situation that this deranged, mentally off the hook person, which somebody could say they needed mental help. Are you willing to risk your life, your family's life, and the lives of others while you talk to somebody to figure out how to make them calmer? That's you cannot argue with a piano falling on you. You cannot argue with a grizzly bear saying it's just a wild animal that's tearing your head off. You cannot argue with a river that's trying to drown you. In that moment, you need to do whatever you need to do to live, because a reasonable and prudent person would do that. And there's so much that goes into that. But in that moment, police are called to a scene because a dude is exhibiting some crazy behavior. This dude had allegedly gone up to some children with a condom and made some lewd kind of noises, comments. Police come looking for him. He calls to the police officer. Officer turns. He shoots with a shotgun several times, murdering that officer. He then starts shooting out windows of police cars. Good guy, Johnny, comes out, does the right thing at the right time, puts this guy down. That's a bold, decisive, heroic move. One that if any one of us ever does that, you know that if you decide to do that, you are immediately choosing, I may die. I may end up in prison. I may end up ruined for the rest of my life. Now, people in the comments section have all kinds of pontification on what they think happened. The fact is, shut the fuck up, because you don't know, and neither do I. But we do know this. Dude had that rifle in his hand. Perhaps there were children nearby. I don't know. Perhaps there was something going on, but all of us, I think, know that a gun should not be left out in the open. That's a training issue. I'm not talking about his training, but this is something that we can train. In that moment, this after action, although we are still in the action, the threat is suppressed. What is important now? We use this acronym in all of our training. Coach Lou Holtz had that acronym, WIN. What's important now? I've got this threat. I address the threat. The threat is no longer a threat. What's important now? Am I hit? Is he down? Is there any other threats? Is my family safe? These are some 4 examples. The police are on their way. I don't know that. I need to call them. I need to call out to bystanders if I see any. Please let the police know I'm wearing a blue t-shirt, greenish brown slacks. I have salt and pepper hair, a pretty good farmer tan. I'm standing over here. Let them know that I will be calling out to them as they arrive. I will listen to their commands. If you're on the phone, imagine if you were a dispatcher. You're the person that's on the other end of the dispatch line telling the police what to look for. Those people are just like you. They're just like your brother, just like your sister, just like your neighbor. They're just people. And if you said, I have an emergency to report. I just was involved in a self-defense shooting. My name is Mickey Shook. I am located at this part of town. I'm wearing brown pants. See, I already screwed it up. I've got brown pants on, a blue shirt. I have grayish dark hair. I'm going to be standing by the back of the building. I'll call out to the police. Please tell them to call out to me. The armed suspect is down. He is by the brown pickup truck or black pickup truck or whatever. The situation is what it is. See, it's hard for us to go through this even in a scenario like this, where I'm just talking to friends through a lens. I'm having to think because I'm making it up. But if we don't plan to be capable of speaking, communicating, dominating the space visually, audibly, and with our own words, if we can't plan for that, if we can't plan to be able to dominate, when I use that word dominate for a reason, because you are the person that decided to intervene. You are the person that decided to take matters into your own hands, good, bad, right, or wrong. So once you lit that fuse, you better see it to the end, because the men and women that are coming to that scene are amped up just like you are. Chances are, if you're the kind of person that intervened in violence, you probably have more training than the cop that's showing up. And that's not a bad thing. People get all bent around the axle on this, wrapped around the axle on this. I don't care whether you have more training or not, but chances are you will have had more training than the cops that arrived. That should be a clue that you need to continue to dominate your emotions, dominate what's going on. Am I going to be standing there holding a rifle when I know one of the commenters put it up? Ayub talked about this years ago. The police are coming for a man with a gun. Don't be the man with a gun. Now, people talk about when the cops come, throw your gun on the ground. Why would I throw my gun on the ground? If I'm in a situation where my gun still needs to be out and I'm holding it on somebody, I probably would have already moved myself to some type of cover, distanced myself from that situation. If I don't need to continue to be shooting somebody, put it away. This is where we start to have to think through with logic and reason. A simple analogy. I see guys race to their holster. They race to their holster in training. If you're done shooting, why are you going to risk shooting your foot, your knee, your dick, your butt, whatever, to put the gun away? Why? So in that moment, if we are not training ourselves to be able to logically think through what's going on, how are you going to do it when you're completely amped up, out of your mind? You've just done this thing that you never wanted to do. You know that you're about to face some tough stuff because of it, regardless of if your actions were completely perfect. Now, this world is changing so rapidly. Who knows? Who knows? So now here comes another question. If you are going to intervene, have you thought about what the totality of the ramifications are? Have you talked about this with your wife? Wife, do you mind if I go to prison for the rest of my life for intervening in somebody else's problems? Wife, do you mind if I end up paralyzed, without an arm, without a leg, without a dick, shitting out of an ostomy bag, or dead because I'm going to intervene in somebody else's problems? Wife, do you got a problem with that? Are you good with me sticking my neck out for whatever reason? Maybe your wife would say, yeah. But in the end, that is a choice that I think you should make beforehand, because then you can think about, what is it I am willing to trade all that for? Two dudes having a scuffle at a bar? Fuck you, I ain't getting involved, even to end up punched. I have a family member that got sucker punched by a guy at a bar, broke his jaw in both places. He wasn't even looking at him, and the guy just punched him. Jaw wired shut for months. Sometimes certain things are not worth our time, our energy, and the risk to our livelihood, our body, our life. If you don't think about that stuff beforehand, why would you wait until the moment? Man, I've never thought about hypothermia, dealing with having to overnight in the snow. I've never thought about having to hike out of somewhere that's remote, but I'm going to have a helicopter drop me up somewhere in the middle of the mountains in the snow and just see how I do. That would be really foolish, wouldn't it?
I'm not a very good swimmer, but I'm going to go try to surf at a really dangerous beach. That would be really stupid to do, right? You want to prepare yourself. Looking at the comments in these types of discussions very much illustrates what is going on in the hearts and in the minds of the average person, the average human, the average American. It's nobody's fault but that person's. It's not their mom's fault. It's not their dad's fault. It's not their teacher's fault. It is your fault. If you are going to take up the responsibility to carry a weapon on your body, you need to invest this energy. You need to. If you don't, you are derelict in your duties as a father, if you are one, as a brother, a mother, a sister, a neighbor, a citizen, a husband, a wife. You are derelict. Certainly, you are derelict in your duties to self, because you're not really trying to protect yourself if you are injecting yourself into a situation where you're going to end up dead, maimed, or hurt. So people have this discussion now, should this cop be arrested? We are judged by what we knew at the time. Police officers, let's do some 4 examples. When police officers are hired, they have found people that are the highest mental capabilities in humankind. These are people that win chess games. These are people that should be astronauts. These are people that should be aeronautical engineers, brain surgeons. The answer is no. These are normal, everyday people like all of us. These are people that could be a carpenter, people that could be a postal worker, a chef, an accountant, right? A manager at the Lowe's. That's who cops are, just like us, right? That's it. None of you have the ability to walk into a space, neither do I, to walk into a space and to immediately deduce, to draw out of the situation all that is fact. That person needs shooting, that person doesn't. None of us have that ability. None of us do. None of us. Why would we expect a cop to be able to, or have to do it? To not only to have to, but to even be capable of it. For fuck's sake, think about this. When's the last time you had some noisy, chaotic environment? You're in your car and you're trying to back your car or your truck into like a tight spot and the radio's on. Think about this. Radio's on. You're in your car. You're in your truck. You're trying to back the car or truck into this tight spot. What do? Radio's blaring. What do? If you said you turn the radio down, I think you're being honest with yourself. Why did you turn the radio down? Because your brain, just like the computers that are in front of me, like your phones, have a finite, a limited amount of processing power. You're trying to focus and do this thing. I don't want to rip my mirrors off. I don't want to rip my bumper off. I don't want to hit these other cars or hit these things. This music is making it hard for me to concentrate, to be mindful. You free up that sense. It stops that information from coming into your brain and overloading it. That's just backing a car up. Now your life's on the line. Now there's lives on the line. What are you doing now? Are you going out and working on some more sub-second draws? Give one to YouTube. I'll give one to Instagram, and I'll give you each another. Got a lot of friends that are really awesome shooters, very fast, excellent guys. And some of these dudes can't tie their own fucking shoes without losing their breath. Some of them can't see their dick when they look straight down. But that dude's got a sub-second draw stroke. I'm not being mean. And some guys are going to be pissed and they're going to be like, fuck Mick. Well, good, fuck Mick. But I'm sick of listening to people on these social media channels talk in their pious, self-righteous bullshit attitude because they can draw a pistol quickly. Great. As somebody caves the side of your head in from behind because you don't have the ability to even spin around. How about our general health and fitness? Our ability to dominate a space visually, mentally, audibly, and vocally. Our ability to do that is also directly tied to our general health and fitness. And unfortunately, as we age, our ability to dominate a space visually, audibly, vocally, and mentally begins to diminish. We had a guy in class this past week that was pushing 70. This dude, you could tell, lifted weights. I posted a picture of him on social media. He had his eye cut from a scope bite. We were shooting in some weird positions, and he was trying to jam this rifle out. This dude kicked ass for 3 days in the rain. He's in his pushing 70. I mean, it was like, that's freaking badass. There are young men that are not getting up and down off the ground as well as this dude is. This is the hard part of this discussion. See, guns are a simple solution to a very slim set of problems. Something bad is happening that's trying to hurt me. If I make enough holes in it, that thing won't hurt me anymore. I've said this for years. Go ahead and shoot diabetes. Go ahead and shoot a heart attack. Go ahead and shoot a stroke. Shoot cancer. Yeah, shoot obesity and all that comes with it. Shoot bone degeneration. Shoot muscle degeneration. Shoot your inability to walk up a flight of stairs. Shoot your inability to be able to pick your grandkid up or pick your child up, or worse yet, have to drag somebody from a burning vehicle. Well, I don't like the way that this conversation's going. I thought we were going to talk about everyday carry. Every day you carry yourself as a sack of meat around this planet. What condition is it in? What physical condition are you in? In the 1960s, the Kennedys did a 50-mile walk. I'm talking about Franklin. FDR. Good Lord. Talk too much here. John Kennedy. I'm losing my mind. John Kennedy and his brother, God rest both their souls, did a 50-mile walk. Why did they do a 50-mile walk? They had to do a 50-mile walk because at the time in the 40s, 50s, Marine Corps officers were required to rip out a 50-mile march nonstop in a very small amount of time. Go look that up. Now we go to work. We sit. We don't do a lot. We come home. If we do work out, it's for like 10 minutes. I got this 8-minute ab thing. It's great. And then we feel good about ourselves and we go have something to drink. I need something. My mouth's getting dry. And we don't take care of ourselves. We don't take care of ourselves. What is it that you're willing to trade? What is it that you're willing to not do? I'm not willing to go into a situation and die for something stupid. I am not willing to die for something stupid. I'm not willing to leave my kids or my wife alone without me because of something stupid. Selfishly, I'm not willing to trade my time, my finite resource of time, for something stupid. Who deems what stupid is? I do. I would never leave a child or somebody that was innocent to their own devices if injured or in some calamity. Never. I'm not going to intervene with a couple of drunks or a couple of idiots or a couple of people that are doing stuff that I could. This is the problem. If I know all of those things, I'm not willing to trade that. You need to think about these things beforehand. Here's the other sad thing. This information's been out there forever. CCW Safe, their lead legal counsel is Don West. Lead legal counsel, Don West. Look up Don West. Ayub that I talked about. These guys, looking, where's that book? There is literally volumes upon volumes of books to help you with this. Where is it? It must not be down here. It's upstairs. But it's through our own apathy, negligence, really. We're negligent in our duties as an armed citizen. As we inject all of these feelings and thoughts out into the ether here, comments. I'm going on our YouTube video from yesterday with this discussion on this Arvada shooting, and you look at what people are saying. Now, apparently, it's a conspiracy. Now, apparently, it's a conspiracy where they murdered this kid. The cops did. It's like, it hurts my brain. What are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do? Decide that now. Learn to dominate your thinking, because if I get myself wrapped around the axle of what's going on, it means I'm not able to do what's important now. If I'm thinking about or doing the things that are not necessary in that particular moment, I'm not doing what's important now. For example, if somebody has a major bleed and they're not breathing, but they have a major bleed, but they're not breathing, do you do CPR first or do you stop the bleed? If you answered stop the bleed, you're correct. There's no point in making them breathe or trying to make them breathe if there's no blood left to carry the oxygen, right? What is important now? What is important now? What is important now? And we cannot just say, here's the next problem with this. People want to codify a simple way of looking at complex human interaction. In a violent, chaotic shooting is a complex and is as complex as it gets for human interaction. To try to say, do A, B, C, and D. You know, we have the proverbial gas station holdup. What if you're not in the gas station? What if you're not at the mall? What if you're not at the church, right? You need to be able to think about, eventually help will arrive here. I need to be able to communicate to them. If anybody is around, I need to be able to communicate to them. Suppress the threat. Now I need to cover my own ass. I got to cover myself. I think people, so this question here or comment here, I think people should wait 72 hours before they comment on a situation. I think that's excellent. I think in addition to that, if you have no fucking idea what you're even talking about, just watch. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that I view on the internet that I don't comment on because I'm not even a enthusiast on the topic, let alone an expert on the topic. Oh, it's my right to comment. It's your right to be ignorant. You're right. I agree with you. It is your right to be ignorant and to make stupid comments for the world to see. Be my guest. Be my guest. Mm-hmm. But now we're gonna derail ourselves from the point at hand. Everyday carry is you. Love yourself enough to get yourself home at night. Your training must include what these things look like. Be it the car wreck my brother watched today, rolled over. Are you willing to be involved in that? Do you have the ability? Do you even know how to break a window? Which window to break? Should you move a person? Should you not? No, you never do. The car's fucking on fire and it's going to burn up. You never move somebody? Never. See, we have these statements that are these isms, as I call them, because we just hang on. Never do it. Never do it. You just got to wait for the police to show up. Yeah, that lady, I could have moved her. Maybe she would have had like a further injury, but now she's burned up. Now she's ashes because I had to just let it happen. Looking at a few of these comments. What's Luke got to say? Peeping Tom's story in Houston. Didn't hear about that one. Do 30 squats every time I sip for my drink. Hold on. Any questions before we go? The books I was looking for was one of Ayub's early books. In the Gravest Extreme, I think, is a good one. While it's 40-ish years old, it's still top-notch material. In the Gravest Extreme from Ayub. He's done new ones like Deadly Force, but it's just really a revamp on that original material. Then you've got guys like Branca, Andrew Branca. I'm a fan of and a personal friend of Moss, so I kind of dig his stuff. Let game. What's the story? I don't know what that means. Any questions? Oregon. We were just in Oregon. All right. Looks like we've got no questions. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pop out of here. My suggestion to you, here's takeaways from the discussion. Takeaways are this. Every time you leave your house, understand whatever it is you could possibly be faced with that day, you should have a plan on how you're going to communicate in regards to violence to people around you. What do I look like? How can I simply describe my physical appearance and where I'm at geographically? Where is he at in the building? Where am I at in the parking lot? If you do not train to remain composed and be able to speak, you're not just going to magically develop that, right? Why would you? How would you? If you don't train to do anything, you're never going to magically be good at it. That's the point. I think we could take any one of these topics and drill into them. If you go armed into the world, or if you fancy you do the right thing at the right time when somebody else is in need and your life is worth living, I sure as fuck would train my ass off. Yeah. You guys be well. Saying goodbye over here on the Instagram first. Peace out. You guys over here, be well. Don't be dickheads. Thanks for following. Hope you subscribe to the channel. Gonna push